I'm Tom from Do-It-Yourself Home Automation, and this is a look at using my Flir 1 Gen 3 thermal camera to look at the temperature inside some Amazon Fresh totes. So as I've shown in other videos, Amazon Fresh is great because they deliver items to your front door, groceries, and if you order refrigerated items, they actually pack them in a brown paper bag with frozen water bottles to keep them cold. And if you order frozen items, they actually even put dry ice in there to keep it frozen for a couple hours after the totes are delivered. So let's take a look at these and see how well they're doing at keeping things at the right temperature. So these were just delivered. The one on the right is a frozen tote. The one on the left is a refrigerated tote. Let's go ahead and crack this open and we'll take a look inside. So this is going to start to lose some cold immediately, but if we look at some of the colder pockets deeper in the bag, you can see it's almost down at 0 degrees in there. So, this is definitely keeping items totally frozen. And that's been my experience with these totes because they are packed on dry ice. They, will keep even ice cream and that kind of thing frozen for a couple hours after the tote arrives. You don't want to let it sit out for too long, but it definitely will stay at a good temperature. And you can see that reflected in here if I'm looking deeper in the bag. One thing with this is that as soon as I open this this internal piece, it is going to start to let some hotter air in, so it's better to take a look deeper in the bag, and you can see it is under the 32 degrees to be totally frozen. Now let's take a look at the refrigerated tote. With these, they pack these frozen water bottles around the items in the tote. And that should keep it at a pretty reasonable temperature. So the water bottles themselves, not quite frozen anymore. They're starting to melt. They're around 36, 38 degrees in there. And then the items in the bag, let's take a look at this at the bottom. This is a bottle of milk. It's about 54, it looks like, degrees in here, 55 degrees. It's harder to tell because the bag's open and it's already going to start to heat up as a result of that. So we might be seeing some of the heat reflecting into there. But, it's not at a long-term holding temperature, and that's been my experience with these totes in general, is that it's not at a long-term, below 40 degrees, so you wouldn't want to let this sit for a long time. But at 50 degrees, if it arrives and it's maybe even a little colder than that inside the bag when it first gets there, it's probably okay to sit for a little while until you're able to bring it in. So I think the water bottles are doing a decent job of keeping things at a reasonable temperature, but you do want to bring it in as soon as you can. And then on frozen, I think this could probably sit for a couple hours. You do want to bring it in quickly if you can, but with the dry ice, it's going to keep it nice and cold in there. So that's a look at the Amazon Fresh totes. If you found this helpful in any way, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps.